Welcome to On My Block podcast and Green Bay Packer podcast. I'm your host, Ahman Green, along with my good friend and teammate, Mike Wall. Man, Mike, how you doing?
Victory Monday, bud. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Victory Monday as well. When we got those Victory Mondays, that means you didn't have to come in and watch film. And some coaches.
I'll be interested to see if they do that. Right. I'll be interested because they're playing on Thursday this week, so they'll probably
meet today.
They'll probably have to meet today, and then they'll get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, right? Because they have to give them the day during the week. The NFL requires to give them a day during the week, but it feels. I'm sure it feels just as good to come in today, watch some good tape, especially on offense. Some guys made some big plays, and as long as the deal with all these Victory Mondays, it's like as long as you limit the amount of time that you actually have to spend in a meeting room, it's all good.
Yes, 100%. That's the key to a Victory Monday. Mike McCarthy was good at that. He loved to get out there early sometimes when I had him when he came into Green Bay. I was like, 5 minutes early, 10 minutes, 15, 30 minutes early. Okay. All right,
I like that Jeff Saturday gets his first win. He just starts suppressing it, man. Victory Monday. Let's get to go time.
Right already at the box. Hey, sometimes you got to do it, especially when you're the interim mid-season hire with no previous other than commentating experience but pro football years under his belt. So I'll take this read this week from BetOnline, our sponsors here on the show. So basketball is back, Mike. So BetOnline remains our number one source of all your sports betting needs this season. You'll all find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. And as your continued source of all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. So always the fastest, easiest way to bet on your favorite sports and events, whether it's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf, and of course, esports. And I know FIFA is coming up now in the month of November. They starting it up, so I know that's going to be
World Cup next weekend. Yeah,
World Cup for everybody. Hit the lines there, betting up. So head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus and the first deposit. So make sure you use the promo code BLEAV, believe, to receive your reward. So BetOnline, Mike, where the game starts. So when the game ended, the Packers in overtime was able to get the dub against them boys. So good game all the way through so far.
31-28. First time we've gone over 30 in a long time. I think Aaron Brott said it last night. And it was like, this was that game where I think everybody who's been watching them, whether you're a casual fan or you're a commentator, an analyst, you're going, so you have a balanced offense. You have over 200 yards rushing. You have over 200 yards receiving, and you score 30 points. You win the game. You control this, devastating Dallas defensive line for the most part.
Yep.
And listen, like Matt LaFleur, we ran a game plan that mirrors the personnel that we have, right? And I love. We talked about it before. They ran 12 and 13 personnel, and Dallas decided to match with nickel the whole game. And they kept Micah Parsons off the line of scrimmage. It kept him in the backfield playing off the ball linebacker. It was like Dallas tailor-made the defense for us to be successful, and we had to execute. Green Bay Packers went out and executed. It was great to watch.
Exactly. It was something like watching the game from Philadelphia a few weeks ago against the Cowboys, where they made Micah Parsons make business decisions, running that RPO directly at him, or the option play. And then the same thing here. It wasn't no option play. It was just straight up downhill running, where I remember a few times I see number 11 on his back, JRJ on top of him, and that is what you want to see, and you saw that throughout the game. You saw it in the first quarter, you saw it in the second quarter, you saw it in the third quarter, and in fourth quarter too. So when Parsons, you don't see him really making any plays or not on the stat line or commentating, mentioning his name, oh my God, big play.
Yeah.
Then offensive line, they did their job and they set a precedent throughout the whole game.
He made. I mean, he's a playmaker. He's an incredible player, and he had seven tackles. I think he had a tackle for loss. Like, he makes plays, but the difference is when you put him at linebacker, he's making a ton of tackles. When you put him at defensive end, all of a sudden he's beating. Now he's like in the quarterback's lap. He's got pressures. He's got sacks. He's got all that stuff, and it hits different. Not only hits different like to us and the commentators and whatnot, but it hits different to Aaron Rodgers. Right,
yes.
Because that's one less guy. Because DeMarcus Lawrence last night
was a problem.
Gave us all we could eat. If they would have, it's one of those deals where you're watching and you're like, is Dan Quinn ever going to make them both rush at the same time? Because I know they did it a handful of times.
Yeah.
But you just go, both of them would have been a real problem. Thank you, Dan Quinn, for not doing that, because keeping that guy off the ball as many plays as he can make, 3-4 yards down the field, it's nothing like he can do it on the line of scrimmage. So
no, not at all.
We'll take it, right? We'll take the win.
You'll take the win, 100%.
So we had 39 carries for 207 yards. We're averaging 5.3 a carry, had a touchdown. Aaron Jones had 24 for 138.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Jones was incredible last night. Aaron Jones is a guy beating Micah Parsons to the sideline,
to the edge,
which you would expect, but still, guys got to do it. And it was it was an impressive performance offensively. Defensively, they've got a ton of talent over there. CeeDee Lamb is the real deal.
He's a boss.
But
he showed up.
But it doesn't it just seem like Mike McCarthy kind of gift wrapped this a little bit, because you see the stat line they're running. We played a physical game. They still ran for 10 yards. Tony Pollard's still a really good running back.
115 on 20.
They have a good offensive line, but Dak Prescott was, dropping back and throwing the ball over the yard, and not having the game that is required to win. I mean, 46 passes, 27 of 46 is not great. And his picks were probably the fault of the receivers as you look at him, and he did turn it around after that.
Yep.
But 46 passes, it's just like if Aaron throws the ball 46 times, you kind of expect to lose. Well, Dallas Cowboys should probably expect to lose if Dak Prescott's throwing the ball 46 times in a game.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes beyond the recipe of the secret ingredient of being balanced with the run to the pass, and that's what the secret ingredient for the Packer was. They had that 39 touches by among the three runners being Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers, and then AJ. So that right there, and that's the balance. Sometimes I believe you even think back to when McCarthy was here in the games they lost. We saw, and any team, not just the Packers, but any team that doesn't have to throw the ball and they end up doing it, 50 for the quarterback having 50 pass attempts, or anything above that, it's like you totally abandon your run, and you have a run game that's there, even though it was just one guy with Pollard, but he was over 100 yards. He made his presence noticed, and so it's just a factor of trying to, obviously you're on the road trying to make something happen, talking from McCarthy's standpoint in Cowboys, and figured that it was going to be the pass, because we saw in previous matchups Savage getting lost in the shuffle, but that adjustment, I think that was one of the biggest adjustments going into this game, putting Rudy Ford back there to where he has a better instinct and maybe got more prepared better to watch how he can read the quarterback's eyes, to read in the receiver, to get in a position to make a better play on ball. 2 interceptions out of it, but an incomplete is just as good, because obviously it makes the offense having to really work to really get the ball open or to a receiver. But getting the 2 picks was money, especially in the red zone.
Yeah, certainly. And I want to go back and just talk a little more offense. Like, when a guy is struggling, he had the big drop at the first play of the year. He's been injured. He comes into this game, and everyone's just waiting, because you see him physically, and he has everything. He has everything he needs. And then he has 2 drops in consecutive plays, one across the middle and then one obviously in the right corner.
Mm-hmm.
Both very catchable balls right in his hands. And you go, oh no, you just your heart kind of drops for him, because we've all been there, right? Like we've all, whether it was missing blocks, whether it was fumbling a ball or dropping a pass, like we've all been in that situation. For him to respond, he's got 4 for 107, 3 touchdowns, and just really was the difference in this game. If you think about, 100%. And he was the difference in this game for the Packers, but he's also, you look at the difference in this game versus every other game we played this year. That was the difference, right? We didn't have a guy that could take the top off. So I just give the fans an idea of how do you, as an athlete, when you struggle, you have 2 drops early in the game, you fumble the ball early in the game, like, what do you tell yourself to get back into it and go out and make that over-the-shoulder catch for the 60-yard bomb? I mean, that was just a monster comeback for this kid.
Great adjustment on that pass, by the way. What you tell yourself is you calm yourself and be like, okay, I got this. I'm still out here. They didn't yank me. I'm not on a bitch. From a professional standpoint, I'm still lining up, running these plays. Let's go. I just missed that ball. That's all you say. I just missed that, or I should have held on harder, or I should have focused more. don't beat yourself up. You got to stay positive in the moment. And that's basically kind of what it looks like he did, because then Aaron gives him another opportunity with that first throw. And then later on, after the one first touchdown, I think he had another drop somewhere in the middle between, but then came right back to him in the red zone with the over-the-top crossing route. And I think that second catch right there, then the confidence hit bingo. It hit the hammer on the nail. Ding, 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 ding. All right, my confidence here, because I got open for my quarterback, and now I can understand what I need to do from this play moving forward. And that's what you got to do with yourself personally in your head, and then obviously from the actions. Now your teammate, your quarterback, the one that's getting you the ball, can then have that confidence as well.
It's like he almost had to have those other 2 touchdowns, because the one you're talking about, he didn't drop it, but he ran the go route down and he didn't look up for the ball. He looked back at the quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
He tracked the leg, and you're just like, hey, like hits it with his hand. You're like, dude, what are you doing? You just we're just complimenting you.
Right. So that's the play I was mentioning.
Yeah,
it was there, and he just was late eyes. He didn't get his eyes on the ball sooner, and so. But you never
want to see your receiver pull up short. Right, and then
he
not
slowed
catch the
down.
ball.
He slowed down a little bit.
You never want to see him pull up, man. It's like the worst feeling in the world. But
yeah,
you go back. You talk about Rudy Ford. Rudy Ford was huge. So that, they kept Savage in base personnel. They kept him back there, but they moved him to the slot in nickel, and we played a lot of nickel. Rudy Ford was great, and we'll show it on tape. You start off the game, and he's physical immediately, right? And
he's
for me, like the 2 biggest additions about to this team. In this game, and then last week for Isaiah McDuffie as well, was Isaiah McDuffie and Rudy Ford, because they bring a physical presence that this team hasn't had. You have a problem tackling? Okay, we'll bring 2 guys in that can thump, right? And those 2 guys make tackles. I think Isaiah McDuffie led the team in tackles with like 13. Rudy Ford only had 4, but he had the 2 picks. I mean, the guy had a monster game. So you start thinking now, how are we going to fit the secondary? That issue might be resolved, because he just had 2 picks. The guy had a game. Isaiah McDuffie, Devondre Campbell's coming back. Quay Walker, and we'll show it on tape. Like, Quay makes athletic plays in space, and there's no denying his athleticism, and he's going to be a baller. But he gets ate up by guards and fullbacks, and it happened all day yesterday. And so the difference between Isaiah McDuffie and Quay Walker in the run game, whether it's can you bring Isaiah McDuffie moving forward in when it's 12 and 13 personnel and run situations I'm talking about when Devondre Campbell comes back, like that dude needs to be on the field, because he changes the demeanor of the defense.
Yeah, he brings that size and ability that you're talking about. And because Quay Walker being even though first round draft pick, phenomenal range, or I say phenomenal, just the size he is to be in the position he is, that is, you try to toy with having a bigger guy, thinking he's bigger, to then play a faster position at that position, and it is not working, because now offensive linemen know, okay, he's not fast, he's still inexperienced in terms of how to get off the block, so I'm gonna just eat him up in the run game, and that's what happens. That's what's been happening to him. But he'll learn, as this season goes on, and obviously as the years, as he plays in his Packers defense goes on.
Yeah, let's talk about a little bit trench warfare. Let's get into it, because we got some tape to watch. And the fun thing, I think, for me was, like we talked about it, Dallas decides to match. We go 12, we go 13, they stay nickel, right, 6 down in the box, and you're just like, I can't believe they're going to do this the whole game, and they did. And we ran all day on that front. And what I love is, go to this tape right here, man. It's like, it feels so good when you commit, right? Committing feels it just feels right. Yep. And we look here. And I wanted to highlight, and I think I hit the wrong guy, but I wanted to highlight here, honestly, my man Robert Tonyan. And I got a couple plays here, our tight ends. And when we say committing, our tight ends have a exuberance for blocking and enthusiasm for blocking that they haven't had in weeks past.
Right.
And it's making a difference. I had the highlight Robert Tonyan over here, and like, he's not killing people. Like, look at the speed he's playing with, rolls his hips, engages. These are legitimate plays in football games. You got this entire side of the line here, backside with DeGuara. Look at these double teams, right? Yeah, we got Tonyan coming back down on the left side, coming down on Parsons, and DeGuara coming backside to block the backside end. Like, this is what the Packers. This is what's required to be successful, honestly, right, AG?
Yeah, it is. DeGuara, he's bent at the hips. I say only thing Tunyon, he has to get more of the body of Parsons because he got a little bit washed out. And the effort you could tell wasn't quite there, but better than past games. And then the same for DeGuara. He's not saying, but he got in there, got bent his hip and extended, was able to make some room.
We're just trying to at this. I think at this stage, with some of these guys, right? Like if with Mercedes Lewis, we'll sit here and nitpick his technique
all day.
with Tunyon and DeGuara, I'm just like enthusiasm matters to me right now. You know what I mean? And I think if we were in the rooms, we would make sure that they're master technicians. But as Monday morning quarterbacks here, like I'm just thrilled that they're bringing it more so than they have.
Too. There's effort. I want effort at the end of the day, no matter what.
Now, this is something that we got. This, we can't show all good stuff, right? Like, Myers is getting pushed back in the backfield. Every time we try to go sideways with Myers, it just doesn't work against a heavy shade. And you see here, AG, it's because he steps underneath himself, right? That first left foot step underneath, backwards. Anytime you do that, you rise up immediately. You get pushed in the backfield, and these are the kind of things that happen.
And against a heavy guy, that's tough. With a nose guard or a 3-tech right in your face like that, that's hard to recover.
What you'd love to see, though, about a Dillon and both AJ and Aaron Jones yesterday, we'll show a couple more of them, is like they didn't allow that first person to take him down. They didn't allow that. And I think that's sometimes the difference between
it's huge
having a 50-yard game and a 75-yard game or a 75 on a 100-yard game. It's just like the running back's effort to not get taken down by the first guy. And they did that. Again, there's just like this enthusiasm and energy around teams. And maybe I'm projecting, bro, because we love to do it so much. But when a team runs the ball, it feels like there's just more energy around individual players and therefore the group.
Yeah, because that extra effort to fall forward every play as a running back, the linemen see that. Y'all saw that, when we played. And now this line is seeing 33, 28, even 12, getting down the field, moving the ball, moving the chains. And then for them, they got that extra energy to go make the extra block. The tight ends do. The wide receivers are doing it downfield. So it's an infectious thing, a good thing that you want everybody to be infected with.
So we got that pony personnel right now. So again, if it's 12 of 21, it really means the same thing. But you got Parsons off the ball. We got 6 down on the blocks. And now you look at this and you go, oh, well, goodness. Parsons is now outside of the box, and we got the safety down. So what do? Tunyon lays him out. Hey, listen, I found some clips. Yeah. Our man, we've been giving this guy grief. Tunyon lays this dude out right here. Hey, it's check your hole card time.
There you go.
Yeah, man, I love it.
And then finishes him. He hits him to a knee. The guy tries to get up. He finishes them all. That's what I'm talking about.
Sometimes we forget about how good Bakhtiari is. Like, he just goes over there like nothing happens. There's no pressures. He's just calm in the run game. You know what I mean? Like, this is a big time play. Nice block by Jenkins as well.
Oh, yep. Right off the ball. Good technique with Dave's hands. He stayed high, was able to keep and extend it and keep that defense in the spot he needed to be, and not having a hand on Aaron Jones.
Bakhtiari does a great job of playing with arms extended. Not a lot of guys want to bring him in close, and sometimes they're taught to bring them in close. But initially, you always want to snap the guy's neck back, stop his momentum. He does a really good job of that. Yes. We got Lazard and our tight end here, and DeGuara. Look at the head start he gets. So we get Lazard down blocking. And then DeGuara comes out and takes care of
Parsons.
Josh is supposed to block Parsons, but DeGuara comes out and does a great job there of cleaning this mess up. And again, I just love when we do these schemes to get guys like DeGuara a head start. So you see Lazard comes down on DeMarcus Lawrence, who had a great game yesterday, gets out of it late. Parsons can clean this up. And again, you got so many people running at you, AG. We talked about it for weeks now. Mm-hmm. Those are hard for DBs to find, sort through the mess and make plays. And again, nice. On this touchdown run, like this is just, I just wanted you to talk about it. Aaron Jones, then we got AJ on the next play. Like,
good foot. We had great footwork here to give his offensive line time to get to Parsons, get Josh Myers up on him. And then that right there, when I see that, I'm doing exactly what he did. I'm pressing the edge and getting to the corner, using my speed. And this is a position where you, as a lineman, you have one for your running back. And so running back sees that. That's a good linebacker, but he can't get off until the last second, which is too late for him. And then you see Watson coming up to second level. He has a choice here. He could go either the first guy that's to his right in the video or the 28 that's to the left. So he makes a decision to go 28. And from there, Aaron Jones could read it from there. He's like, you know what? I'm going to turn on the booster, get to the edge. And a nice ode to Marshawn Lynch going into the end zone here at the end.
Incredible, right?
I was like, oh, yeah. I said,
Beastquake right there. That was a Beastquake move.
Yeah, as it was.
And so now we got an AJ look. I'll run it through and we'll bring it back so you can commentate on it. But just effort here. Thought this was fantastic. So
nice power play.
So we get blown up by DeMarcus Lawrence. This is a 5-yard gain. And basically, AJ Dillon does all of the work. You know, you watch this and just talk about DeMarcus Lawrence blows this up. JRJ, look at, I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence has all kinds of, like, when we talked about, remember we've been talking about with our guys, we don't want to use that box technique when we want to stay square, go same foot, same shoulder. This is why.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of power you can deliver. So JRJ gets blown up here.
He's way too high right there. He gets caught.
And Myers is coming through, but
I say the leftovers from DeMarcus and the first block there takes Josh off his path, but AJ being the running back he is, knowing his size and able to keep his leg pumping, because that's the biggest thing with a big back or any back, but a big back with his side, using your leg power is key. And the one thing on the first contact, he ran his legs. He ran his legs to keep the pile moving, and that's where it looked. Like you said, he pretty much picked up the 5 yards by himself because of what DeMarcus Lawrence did at the start of the play. DeMarcus Lawrence did his job. You want to stop the power just like that.
That play should be over.
It should be done.
Yeah.
But with AJ and his ability and his size, the one thing was he never stopped his feet from running. If he would have stopped his feet from running, then it was a problem. But then on contact, he ran his feet and got the acceleration he needed to move that pile.
I wanted to note, because you didn't say anything, and I put comic book font on.
I saw that. No, I mentioned it in my head.
I wanted to know that. I put comic book. So
I like it.
Because we ran the ball as effectively did under center. What do we even talk about all year, man? You talked about it on Thursday. Yep. Under center play action pass all day.
Simpleness, right? And it because it's an attitude. It tells the defense, oh yeah, this is what most likely is going to come at you. We're going to run the ball right downhill. But then if we don't, you got to keep you honest, and we're going to do this. And this is what we're going into, the play action.
Christian Watson, this is his first touchdown, and I highlighted AJ. Let's look at AJ. Sees this late. He sees the Bakhtiari's beat. 91 beat him outside, jumped around two people, and just throws himself in harm's way. Gets trucked, but
you got to do that. That's
got to do it for the touchdown, right? Do it for your teammate.
Hey, that's the job requirement. I'm in many a game, being Lambeau, being the Metrodome, Ford Field, where I'm looking at the top of the stadium because of that. And you know what? I'm fine with that because my quarterback is still upright. He's able to do his job. And then sometimes you hear the roar of the crowd of the wide receiver going, into the end zone, just like on that play right there.
So I've seen the top of the stadium many times too, and I'm not fine with it. but I agree. I understand and I agree with your sentiment. I'll just tell you right now, every time I got trucked over, I went, oh, gosh, darn it. Right. What's the worst you ever got trucked the most? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was in Metrodome. It was when it was 01 season, and it was 01, and then later on you were gone. It was the 06 season. I said, God, dog, like the dude hit me so hard. It didn't hurt. It just was, I could tell he got into the hip position where he engaged me, and I think I flew back a good 4 feet before I hit the ground. And then he hit me so hard where I rolled over onto my feet. That's how bad it was.
I had this one. I wasn't in Green Bay. I was in Carolina. We went and played Chicago though, and we went up to Chicago, played him. This was with Urlacher and Briggs and Tommy Harris. Dude, Tommy Harris was so good.
Yeah, he was really good.
But so we had a protection where I had to sort 1 to 2, and Briggs was 2 off the edge, and I kicked out. And I'm sure I've been hit harder than this, but it's like not by a linebacker. And Briggs just like kept, you're kind of sitting there, you're waiting for like a move or something because it's like it's a linebacker. Like, dude, you're not going to hit me. And he hit me so hard, bro. And I just went flat back. And I'm looking up in the sky. And thank God Dillon got rid of the ball because like if a guard gets knocked over by a 245-pound linebacker for a sack, you pretty much you might as well not get on the bus. You know what I mean? Because like you are never going to live that down.
Right.
And I barely lived it down anyways. But gosh darn.
Mm-hmm. Know the feeling. Yep. Know the feeling.
So under center, Mike, get better at this. Under center play action. And I just wanted to, like, when you go under center play action, everybody's up, everybody's sunk in, and there's just space now. You've just created space. And so Aaron Rodgers can do his Aaron Rodgers thing, hit Sammy Watkins on the back shoulder. Again, under center play action, or this is shotgun play action.
And the DB gets lost there in translation. He sees Christian Watson does a good job of adjusting his route.
Yep.
Stair step once he gets around him, and then kind of stacks him in a way to where he has no other position, no other. He could, if he does try to defend Christian, it's a PI, it's a flag. So
yeah. So everybody's seeing is he starts to the east side, but then he takes him outside again and bends it around. Yeah.
Yep.
So it forces this DB. He's like, "Where'd he go? Where'd who go?" You know, right. It's one of those deals. This is the second touchdown. Now you got under center play action. He's got all day, and the reason I highlight that window is because he has enough time to wait for it. Yep. Right? It's not. It turns into a second window throw, but Randy Rodgers has all day because that pass rush just is not coming. Sammy Watkins can make that play. Huge play in the game. I think it leads to the next. We got the stack over there, and Watson's just using his speed.
And they trying to put two guys on him too, and it didn't even work.
They tried to cut that with the safety.
Yeah, cut the safety down in the middle, and he couldn't even get there in time because if he does, that's a PI again, and then it's first and goal.
You know, isn't it amazing when you watch these plays? You go, like, it's so simple. It seems so easy, right? And they're in man-to-man coverage here across the board. We've got everybody bunched in. It's just, essentially going to be a 2-receiver route. Maybe somebody's going to leak out here at the end. And you've got, cover one, which we know that Dallas is going to run all day. Mm-hmm. And you just think to yourself, like, wow, like, we could have done this all year. And I know it's not that easy. And I don't want to oversimplify it, but sometimes you just go, oh my goodness, like this would have been a really good idea all season.
Correct. But what you do and what Green Bay has done with this game, the next game's coming up. Now teams are looking at this like, oh, okay, we got a problem here. Or we got something we got to prepare for, because if we don't, it will be a problem in the game we face these guys. Because now we got this young buck who has now confidence and has now the trust and confidence still building with his quarterback. But now look what he can do. Look what he figured out he can do now. He said this, and I've been saying this for the last 3 weeks. They got to figure it out, and they did. Between Aaron and Christian. And, we already knew about Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, but now the offense is balanced, and it's going to be a problem for the rest. This could be the problem, but we got to wait and see.
We do have to wait and see. Now, I wanted to put one drop back in here, and I know I put a drop back with Christian Watson's second touchdown, but we're showing some good stuff. Mm-hmm. But, this is the kind of stuff we could still – this is a big play in the game, right?
Really, this is where you're talking about Josh not able to get his hands extended, right?
Yeah, So this is DeMarcus Lawrence coming down on Josh Myers. And if you don't extend your arms here, if you try to lean into this, right, you can just see his helmet coming forward. He's like kind of heavy upper body, lean into this instead of punching the guy away from you. Then, yeah, good players are just going to get just real simple going to beat you. Mm-hmm. Now, I think the exciting part about all of it, though, is to your point, we might have found that guy. We might have found that guy. Now we need to talk about this. The run the ball, the fourth down or the third down play, the third and short. Aaron comes off the ball and he's yelling at Matt LaFleur. And look, we've run the ball effectively. We have 200 yards on the ground. Mm-hmm. They're in a formation where it looks advantageous to run the ball. And I guess the thought process here is if they go too fast, you give Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys too much time.
Right.
And so apparently Matt LaFleur was calling the plays in, which Aaron Rodgers is like, that's his deal, is the 2-minute. So he wasn't calling the plays. So, so the production time takes a lot longer. So they're wasting clock there.
Yeah.
And then they went on a play like this, where it seems pretty obvious that we should just go for the fullback dive for 1 yard, because we've gotten 1 yard. A.J. Dillon or Aaron Jones, either one of them is going to get 1 yard right now.
Correct.
And they ran kind of the flood into the short side of the field. Everybody's gassed up. And then you can see the bottom down here at the bottom. He's pretty angry about it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
saw that on the sideline. Saw in the game, actually.
The last, and what do you think about that? So, I guess it's a game to game decision, and you have the head coach, but it does seem odd that he'd take the 2-minute drill away from Aaron in that situation, right? Like you got arguably the best quarterback in the league, maybe of all, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Like, why are you taking that away?
Yeah, great question. What's ever running through the coach's mind there in terms of Matt LaFleur and that play calling, of him mastering now the play calling, is one of those things that as a coach, you look at what's went wrong. You're looking at the analytics of the last few weeks of losing, and then you just come up, you know what, let me try it. Let me, if Aaron's been doing it for this long and we're struggling, in this situation, let me try that. That's one option that went through his head. And obviously it was something from his player, that the person that actually was running or making the play call obviously didn't like the selection. So that's where you live and learn. You tried it, didn't work, or your team, your quarterback didn't like it. You got to now hear him, and you see him. We all saw him. If you watch the game, we all saw him going to the sideline, and you could read his words real easy. It wasn't happy words.
Hey, we got a question from somebody watching this live right now. Thank you for all that are watching live. Ahman, do you think A.J. Dillon would be a number one running back on another team? Part 2 of the question is, would A.J. be a fullback in 2001?
Great question. Depends on, I say for the second part, it depends on his mentality and then how he was played at Boston College. If he would have
how big was Eddie George? Let's put this in perspective.
They were the same size. He was Eddie George was close to 250. He was like 240 something.
But is it just because his legs are so like? I'm thinking like Natron Means maybe have the same size legs as AJ.
Yeah,
right.
I'll say Natron did for sure.
Yeah.
Eddie was taller. He was more like 6'3".
Yeah,
but he was a solid 235, 240. So he was leaned out. And what was the first part of that question?
Yes, you and I've talked about this. He's a running back one.
He would be a starter.
Not every team. But
he would be
last year,
starter for sure.
Last year he could have been a Pro Bowl player. Like he hasn't had a Pro Bowl year this year, but last year he had a Pro Bowl. I mean, in my opinion, if you gave him the volume of catches that everybody else had, don't you? I mean, we talked about it.
Yes.
Do you think?
Yeah, no, 100%. He would be a starter somewhere in the NFL and Pro Bowl caliber running back. So 100% sure.
This is the big play to Lazard and a lot of people are kind of wondering what this was exactly because the DB falls down. So Lazard's in the middle here of the trips right look, and they're doing like a fake stock block with a slant. And you see this guy just gets completely shook. Lazard breaks down. The safety's going the wrong way. I mean, awesome play.
Might have been an adjustment at the line. I'm not sure, but between him and Aaron and that.
Yeah, I don't like that didn't look like that could have been an RPO.
Correct.
But it looked like Aaron was going either flat or running the fake all the way. And usually when they're running the fake on that, like that's a design deal, right? Like you're not gonna screw over the flat defender by or the flat receiver by just like, I'm not gonna block you this time, right? So that's hopefully that was one of these things, right? Where they just kind of looked at each other and knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have talked about Rudy Ford. And Isaiah, and I just want to put a couple plays up. So this is the first play of the game, and it's just awesome to see physical presence on this defense, right? And Kenny Clark made a ton of plays in this game that'll go unnoticed, but just a guy being able to ball hawk like that is phenomenal.
Yeah,
coming down.
And coming down and understand the angle, understand where he put himself in the best position. That pursuit angle is important because obviously if you overextend, kind of like with Josh blocking, that play we just showed with him and DeMarcus, it's the same mindset. You got to come down, stay to balance, keep your feet, come to balance, and keep your feet square, but then accelerate into the guy. And it's all about effort from there.
So now we got that first pick. I don't know, I can't remember if this is the first or second one, how I put it on here. So
I think it's the second.
They're playing cover 3, but they had the safety stack, so they pop out to a cover 3. And Greg Olsen did a good job explaining this last night. Basically, once you clear the linebacker, you got to come across the safety's face, right? CeeDee Lamb doesn't do that. And
he got a little lazy in his eyes, in his coverage,
and he's looking at me. And Dak Prescott just gets hung out to dry here.
Yeah,
but. Listen, Rudy Ford's got to make the play. He's in the right position. Got a little speed to him.
Yeah, try to take it to the house, but getting the ball after the yards, after the pick. But yeah, like what you said with Lamb,
gets a little lazy on the route where he sees the DB there before he comes to his break. So I'm gonna go. This has been practice. Go flat. Let me cross his face. And then if it doesn't still look good to Dak, then he has his running back, and I think he had a tight end over to the flat as well. So he had the check down. He had the touchdown throw to Lamb or the check down to the running back or the tight end.
The other thing I wanted to point out too is, you see McDuffie here rerouting and keeping this wide. That's a big, this little thing to pop him 2 feet outside the hash is a huge deal because it makes that inside turn that much more difficult. And that shows up again on their 4th down play. We see where they get rerouted. We'll show it later. But that kind of, those little things, that's just really good coaching and paying attention to your coaches.
And that's a fundamental thing, like you said. It's just something that you teach every time you run cover 3 in practice. Make sure you redirect. Make sure you make a receiver either go over top of you or make him go underneath you when you know what route he's trying to run.
Great job pressing the center. Isaiah McDuffie filling the hole. We're making plays on their side of the line of scrimmage. That's one thing. Even though they ran for a good amount of yards yesterday, I thought when we got the opportunities to create single blocks, whether it was pre-snap by lining guys up in each gap on the line of scrimmage, or by it was McDuffie attacking the line of scrimmage, or Kenny Clark attacking a particular person in the double team. Jaron Reed did a great job yesterday as well.
Yep.
We ended up pushing guys in the backfield more often than not. Tony Pollard's a really, really good back. But, I think generally considering what was going on yesterday with the amount of volume of plays that was happening, these guys did a pretty good job.
Really good job. And you think about it, look, you got Rashard Gary gone. You got Chris Barnes and you got Devontae Campbell gone. Now you got the next man up mentality. These guys are showing what they could do. McDuffie, Ford coming off the bench, been rotating throughout the year, mostly special teams, but now they get their opportunity to show up. So this, I say, is a good, happy thought to think about when guys get healthy that are able to return this year, like a Campbell and like a Barnes. They could come back later this year, possibly. And then now you still got guys that are really locked and loaded and understand their position and have that confidence to play and make tackles in the backfield, like McDuffie and like Ford.
We see this is Kenny Clark, and Kenny he has so many plays in a game that you might not notice, but he lives in, if you single block him, he's just living in the backfield. He's posting up on the line of scrimmage. He had a couple of plays yesterday I didn't put on here, but he's literally at the feet of the running back all the time, making him cut. What was the big thing as an offensive lineman, as a running back, is we don't want you to have to cut early, right? We want you to get into your groove, whether it's the second, third step. And when you cut when you're supposed to cut, and if you have to cut before that, your momentum might be a problem trying to get through that hole.
Right.
And so when you can penetrate on the line of scrimmage and change that line of scrimmage for these offensive linemen, it just makes a huge difference. This is Enikbari, and we were talking about box technique the last 2 weeks, and how if you box, which means if I show my chest to the guy coming across to block me, I can't get outside now. There's 2 things. 1, I'm not very strong at the point of attack, and 2, I can't get outside if the guy tries to bounce. We just saw DeMarcus Lawrence do it on their film, but this is the first time in a while we've seen one of our guys do it. Anybody right here, pops, goes same foot, same shoulder, stands the guard up. Now there's no space for 34 to go anywhere.
0.
Right? This is why, these are little things, and I think they're being taught the other way. I think he just did this because you go to some other plays in this game, and the other guy's boxing. He just did this, but this is one of those deals where you got to take a hard look at as a coaching staff and go, okay, he's in an advantageous position. He can actually create more violence towards the guard pulling in this position, and he can open up. If the guy bounces, now he actually can open up his hips to the sideline and make a play.
Yeah, so good job by him just making something happen. You creating a muddle. Creating muddy ground for the lineman and a running back trying to get his feet going. And when you do that, you muddle things up. So then that like with AJ, we like to get his feet accelerated, but with a back like that for Dallas, number 34, and then Pollard too, you muddle things up. Then it's a problem where they can't get accelerated, and then you have it as an advantage of defense. Then you have that advantage to try to tackle better.
So we talked about the keys to the game being for the Dallas Cowboys tight ends and what kind of job they can do. And I wanted to show Enikbari does a great job of splitting it here. And then actually all across the board, we got McDuffie, our defensive tackle. I think this is Reed. They just do a phenomenal job gumming this all up. So you start outside. Now we got nowhere to go. He's freed up the safety.
Yeah.
Because McDuffie came and attacked this center, I'll go back.
And I want to point out something real good. Look, just another detail with McDuffie and his technique on why he is a great tackler. So when you run the ball here, or when you run the play real quick,
Yep.
this first contact that he gets to the center, look at his hands and look at his eyes. His hands are on the center just for position, but his eyes is following the running back. He's tracking the guy. And that's what I mean by tracking. Linebackers, defensive back, they got to have this tool, because if you get caught up with the big guy that's trying to get on you, where he's trying to center's trying to engage McDuffie, but he's already engaged, and his arms, if you don't see, you can't see his arms, but he has a little extension to where that center really can't go out and grab him. And if he does, it's going to be a holding call. But then at the same time, his eyes is tracking that running back, because he knows what type of running back, and he has respect for Pollard in terms of the cutback or keeping it play side up 73 and 60 and 66. But
perfect, AG. And what he's really doing is they have a double team on a defensive tackle, and he's turning it into 2 single blocks, right? And it's advantageous for the Green Bay Packers, because now the center's pointed the wrong direction. And as you know, whenever your chest is pointed towards the sideline, you're going to give ground vertically.
Yeah,
so
and that's where I was talking about a potential holding call could come up, which would be a benefit for McDuffie, and because he's in the right position.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. We got I think this is Savage coming down, filling the outside, because Ednubari did such a good job splitting the tight ends. And this is what we saw for a majority of the game, honestly. Like, they did a really good job of just gumming all this stuff up, turning these into singles.
And that's the muddle.
These plays for short games. This is phenomenal.
That's the muddleness I'm talking about. So then on that last play, Pollard had to start his feet up again. And a guy like him, and he was getting, 5-6 yards of carry, but you make him restart his feet. That's a good thing, because now you got all your teammates to come in and make the tackle. You get all them green jerseys, all those yellow helmets, and we saw Cowboys do that too sometime, where they had a play they could string it out with Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon, and they had a lot of stars right there, all the helmet, because then you making the running back stop his feet and then reset, and that's a problem. And that's a good advantage you could bring to your defense when you know how to technique-wise slow everything up from the defensive side of the ball.
How much of that is Isaiah McDuffie? So how much of attacking the line of scrimmage and forcing the issue is Isaiah McDuffie being instinctual, and how much of it is by design so they can free up Quay and keep somebody off Quay?
I would say, if I'm going percentage wise, it's about 60% instinctual, and then 40% what he's been coached and watched in film, because he knows his role. But some of the instincts is going to kick in. Like, I got to attack the line. As a linebacker, I got to attack the line, read it. And if it's passed, I get back out of here. But it was a full run commit. So I'm in here, and I'm going to read it with my hands, or place my hands right, read with my eyes, and keep my body moving as loose, where I don't get caught up trying to, take on a lineman one-on-one.
Somebody just asked us, don't you think the Packers have missed the presence of Barnes at inside linebacker this year? And I would just say to that, you and I are huge Barnes fans. We talked about him all year last year, highlighting what a great player he was and what a good job he's done for this team. I remember John Runyon Jr. came on and said that he was a leader at a young ation but they hired Quay Walker. Quay was going to play regardless. Chris Barnes could have had the training camp of his life, and he was not going. Quay Walker was going to play. Devontae Campbell's the first team All-Pro last year, so I don't know how much we missed him in the sense that he wasn't going to get a ton of snaps. And to be fair, Isaiah McDuffie has been absolutely balling.
Yep.
But we certainly think that Chris Barnes, when he comes back, if he gets an opportunity to play, and like we've been talking about, it's just a question now of, is it 12, 13 personnel? Like, when are we going to get these guys in the game? Because like Rudy Ford and Isaiah McDuffie right now, they're earning playing time for sure. This is Devontae Wyatt, I believe, on their against their left guard. Just wanted to highlight some guys that are making some good plays. This is off a double team. So again,
left tackle.
This should be a double. And we talked about it earlier. Joe Philbin's teams usually do a really good job of staying on the double. But because he attacks the tackle, instead of trying to take on both the left guard and the left tackle, two hands, and trying to hold him up, we're taught to attack the tackle alone, turn it into a single block. Because the tackle's not really thinking. The tackle's thinking he's coming in to help, not that he's taking on this entire block. So you can see we're winning with inside hands. You see the body position of 73. He's kind of contorted.
He's bent over.
He's on his heels now.
Yeah, he lost.
And this is exactly so. Even though the right or the left guard can get up on your linebacker, you're going to win at the line of scrimmage, and now you can fall into this play. So it's for a short gain. Again, I think at the NFL at this level, 2 and 3 yard gains, like we call those victories.
Oh yeah, that's a win. Little space when you can.
I had to put this play in, dude, because I freaking love this play. So do you remember Trent Williams last year in San Francisco game?
Yeah.
Okay. So poor our man, sorry for highlighting you, but this is awesome. So we got come across, and he just lights him up and gets that free shot out of nowhere. So, like, imagine you're playing defensive end here, and you got the tight end coming off from off screen, running left to right.
Yeah.
You got 2 tight ends in front of you. They're in 13 personnel. 84 shows like he's going to take you on. All of a sudden, this dude comes out of nowhere and just monsters you. Bop!
Yeah.
Drops you. Dude, that's an awesome play. Honestly,
it is.
An awesome play.
It's a good play call. Good, I say, design to give that tight end momentum at the snap of the ball to make that contact, because that means the quarterback coach, or not the quarterback coach, the offensive coordinator, whoever designed the play, knows that he's going to have to deal with a heavy guy. So giving him that momentum to go into the block is important.
So both Jair and Rudy Alexander. So Rudy Ford. Alexander's got outside leverage here. So he's in the position to make this play. Rudy Ford's got to understand that this is now a combo tackle, right? So when CeeDee Lamb catches this ball, you can't over pursue. You already have help on the outside. He over pursues, slides in, makes a great play for a touchdown. These are kind of the unfortunate things that happen that can be remedied if you just understand your team tackling concept. So we go quarters here, and this is a great concept, right? They got trips left. I'm talking about the Cowboys now. Cowboys got trips left. They have single receiver to the right. We go quarters, but we're going to trap the inside. So they call this tan. There's gold. There's a couple different concepts that defensive coordinators will call this, but essentially the quarters away from the trip side is going to trap the inside receiver. And what that does is essentially leaves your backside one-on-one. So your man coverage on the backside, Dak sees it early when you see our safety turning his chest to the inside receiver, just going to take advantage. Easy pitch and catch towards the end of the game in the fourth quarter. Big play. And then Dalton Schultz here. It seems like we always getting beat on crossing routes. We knew he was going to be involved in this game. We talked about it on Thursday. But they get caught up, and Amos just doesn't get there in time. A couple good plays. So this is on the last play.
Yeah. Was that the first linebacker Quay, or was it McDuffie?
They manned this up. This is McDuffie.
McDuffie, okay.
Right? Excuse me. They didn't. They zoned. They're reading this out. This isn't man coverage for them. So they pass this off, but really Amos is supposed to drive on that, and it's just late.
A little bit sooner.
Yeah, it's one of those, and that's one of those plays, AG, where like you see it, and like the coach is going to go in and say, "You should have done this. You should have done that." But the truth is, if you run these plays really well, you're probably not going to stop him down there, right? Because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of people crossing your face. It's just very it's very difficult.
It's huge.
Great rush by the young man here. We haven't seen a ton. Or is this Jaron Reed? Sorry, this is Jaron Reed on a huge play in the game. And I just wanted to show, like, when guys are playing well, sometimes it goes unnoticed. This guy showed up a lot in the run game, turning those doubles into singles last night, but also pushing off that elbow right here. Gets that left elbow. You see the footwork for the left guard is terrible. He's got his left foot in the air, right foot in the ground. He's bracing. Left elbow goes up. Easy turn into Dak. Puts it low. We get off the field.
Yeah. And with that leg being up in the air, that's where he can gain momentum and force back Reed. And Reed was able to get his feet running. Same like a running back stopping his feet. His feet didn't stop and kept bringing momentum into that guard's chest.
We always talk about real estate, and it's you win with your feet before contact. Like you can win with your body position, your feet before contact. How you get to confrontation determines the terms of confrontation. And in that situation, you got poor footwork, you got wide feet, you got feet up in the air, like you said, man. It's problems. This is CeeDee Lamb on Jair Alexander. Listen, Alexander's a really, really good player. CeeDee Lamb is an incredible player. And when you get a guy one-on-one enough times in a game, like he's gonna get his. This is one of those things you just got to appreciate what a good route looks like.
Yes, it was. This is a beautiful route.
I mean, you say how he shakes him right here. That's just problems, right? Like that almost looks like they drew that up in the sandlot.
It was,
but just problems.
Yeah, coached well, set him up right by using, as we used to say, running routes, give him a little head. He did. He gave him a little head to the inside, and he bit on it. Everybody knows Jair as an aggressive cornerback, and so you give him that little detail right there, that little head to the inside, and able to break it out. You got a free route.
So we talked. This is their last play. We talked about earlier how Isaiah McDuffie rerouted CeeDee Lamb on the pick for Brady Ford's pick. So now you got trips right, and both of these guys are going in the middle. But because McDuffie reroutes Lamb again outside, pushes him wide, he's almost hip to hip. He's probably a yard off of Dalton Schultz here, and they both break in, and it screws up the timing. So Dak Prescott gets to the top of his route, and there's nobody to throw to. He all of a sudden, both defensive ends win. He has to step up. That throw is over. He's got to look for his next option, right? Exactly. So it's just that little detail of the coverage and the detail of the technique marrying the rush. Gives both defensive ends time to win and get there because he can't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pop and throw because Lamb has been pushed wide. And this is just like when it all comes together, man. It really looks great.
It was really good. So this is good basic fundamentals of playing cover 3 or playing his coverage technique and McDuffie doing that, and he did it the whole game pretty much. So good job. Yeah,
he was. If I was giving out game balls, obviously Rudy Ford is going to get one, but again, I think like Isaiah McDuffie I just really think the physical presence that he brings, and like it's easy to say, well, yeah, Kenny Clark does that too, and if you watch this tape, like he shows up a ton as well. But Isaiah's coming in, not a starter, leading the team, and I think he has 13 tackles in the game. And just playing again with a physical presence, I think that's an impact performance. And like I honestly hope when DC comes back that he finds a way to, the coordinator Barry finds a way to get this guy on the field. I don't know if it's going to be by personnel or package, but he needs to be on the field, man. He's too valuable, particularly in the run game.
Smart, has the IQ, very high IQ in terms of blocking, get off blocks, and pass coverage as well. So he's pretty much, for me, linebacker whole package right there.
Yeah, love it. Hey, let's get off my lawn, man. That's enough recap of the Packers. We kind of talked about the Matt LaFleur thing taken away. Like, I don't know why. I don't get it, but maybe we'll just move on to the next one.
Yeah, get on my lawn with that one.
Do you know what I'm talking about here with
No, I do not. I don't.
Thomas? Okay.
No, what happened?
So Jeff Saturday gets the job, and everyone has these
opinions.
That I know. And I think a lot of the opinions on different sports entertainment channels were for different
they're everywhere. Oh my
God. But for example, ESPN, you go to First Take, listen to Stephen A.
Yeah, I watch First Take.
Those guys, right? Chris Greeny, Ryan Clark, Greeny, Orlovsky.
And,
it was more. Now Saturday's an ESPN guy, so their commentary was like, "We're not mad that Saturday got the job, but we are mad that like the Rooney Rule or the spirit of the Rooney Rule wasn't really enacted here." And I think that's the kind of take. I don't. For me, that was the kind of the negative about this more than anything else.
Me too. That's where I was at.
Because I think you and I will agree that Jeff Saturday is a exceptional person. Not just every player could walk in and do this job, but exceptional people can walk in and do jobs. The head coach, if you're not going to call plays and you're a leader of men and a delegator of authority, like I think a lot of people can do that off the jump.
Yep.
But Bill Cowher, Joe Thomas said this is like it was blast to the coaching profession. Bill Cowher got really heated about this.
I bet he did.
Talking about because he's an ex-coach, and all the people who have been there and have earned that right. And it's like it was very, very interesting to me only because one, Bill Cowher knows how many good and bad coaches there are in the National Football League. So like tenure doesn't. It's just like in the military, man. Just because you've been in longer doesn't make you a better officer or a better leader.
Right.
Just because you've been in the profession for 5 years and Saturday just happened to be a 14-year, NFL player, pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, he's getting a Ring of Honor guy, Super Bowl winner. Like his resume is pretty stacked. So I take issue with the idea that a guy can't come in and be a leader of men and a delegator of authority just because he doesn't have experience. But then again, I think it all goes back to the Rooney Rule and the idea that, well, you say a lot of these candidates that are qualified don't have enough experience. So, we talked about that last week, but between him and Joe Thomas saying this is like a black eye to the coaching profession, I think it's really just commentary on what billionaires, are saying they can do whatever they want. I don't think it's necessarily a dig on anybody, right? Like if a qualified person was on, or if a person that Jim Irsay thought was going to do a better job was there, he would just put them in place. It just so happens that Jeff Saturday has done a phenomenal job staying close to the organization, being a paid consultant. So basically talking with all the brain trust at ESPN about them all the time. Orlovsky, Canty, Swagoo, all Nina Kimes, who's a genius, getting all this information and then going over and telling Irsay, like, oh yeah, this is what we see, right?
Yeah.
And then so Irsay's building up this trust of like, man, this guy's got all the answers. Like you can like, it's very easy to see how this happened, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But I would say just, that where it lands and how it lands, and obviously when it lands is how everybody's commentating on it, giving their opinion about it, and rightfully so. Everybody's owed that to their opinion. But it's just, obviously when you first hear about it from last week to now, and get the first game under the belt, and they was able to come away with a win. It's all looking like, the one part that I do like in a way that what Irsay said, not 100% agreed of everything, but the one thing I kind of see from his point of view, what he's hitting at is the experience part, because we know as players sometimes things are overdone, and it's too much thought of it. We know as players, when you really look, like we were just commenting on our game with the Packers, just get into I formation, is run the ball. It's simpleness. It's sometimes not doing all the dynamic stuff to make a play happen. Because at the end of the day, football's been around a long time. And when it started, we didn't have all these formations. We didn't have all these personnel packages. We just the teams ran the ball majority of the time. And that's how they won championships back in the day. Obviously, the evolution of the game from passing the ball to running the ball and having phenomenal athletes also changed the game. From a quarterback that could do things like what Pat Mahomes doing. Before that was Joe Montana, was Steve Young, was Randall Cunningham, and before that. So it's the evolution of the game that we see things, but that don't mean you have to sometimes do that. You don't have to go to the next best thing. I think sometimes sticking with the old school gets you back on track, like for the Packers situation in general, gets you back on track to where you can now then use potentially plays that are looking, crazy formations that come out, and then boom, the defense doesn't really know what's coming at them.
It's the mentality, right?
Exactly.
And it's like, so it's the exact same thing with the Packers is what you're saying with Jeff Saturday after the game. All he talked about in the locker room was he was praising how physical they were.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't, and he brought Matt Ryan back in, but he praised Gus Bradley in the physical play of the defense. He obviously,
and that's football.
Play caller.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's football. And so I think what everybody misses, and what I think was missing in the NFL, quite frankly, is because all these scheme guys came in, what's missing, it's not like you and I are not against running complex plays.
No.
What you and I are against is thinking that the complex play is football. What we're saying is like, you run whatever the hell you want, but I want you to teach your players to know how to execute at a very, very high intense, physical level.
Yeah.
And then you can call whatever you want, dress it up however you want. But when it comes down to like me versus you, I want my guys coached up so I win every time.
Exactly.
That's all we care about. We don't care about all the other stuff. You could do whatever you want. And what Jeff Saturday did is he put an emphasis, and what Matt LaFleur, the coaching staff, or Aaron Rodgers, or the offensive, the tight end coach did it.
Yes,
they're putting an emphasis on being physical players and doing things the right way. And that's what maybe from your and my perspective, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but at least from my perspective, that's what we're missing in football. And when teams decide to do that, they play really, really well.
Yeah. And it's effort at the end of the day, man. Give effort no matter what. And if it's a loss on the play, but you still have 100% effort, I could take you back to the meeting room and we could work on that, and it's going to get better. Because then I got a player that's going to listen. Because if that player is showing 100% effort on the field, messing up, then he or she will want to get better when we go back to the film and draw it up. This is what you could have did better on that play. Yes, all the effort was there, but instead of doing this, you could have did that. And now the player for me, I've been in that situation where I was a player. I make a mistake going 100%. Full speed, but then the coach say, "Oh, I got you. We'll watch your film." And then get to the film room. If it's Sly, if it's Edgar, Kippy Brown, who I had, I'm like, I'm like, I got it, coach. And then boom, I'm going out there. And then I'm a different player. And then guys are like, "What are you doing different?" Like, I watched film. I listened to my coach. I paid attention to the adjustment that he showed me, and I'm trusting him to help me for that adjustment to work when I go back on the practice field, and then I'm gonna use it on the game field after that.
Last one here, and it's a respect. Get off my lawn.
It is.
Justin Jefferson,
special.
10 catches, 193 and a touchdown. one of the most ridiculous catches I've ever seen in my life. And then, some guy I was talking to doing another show this morning, and they're talking about, how he's blocking downfield on Dalvin Cook 81-yard touchdown run. And you're just going, this guy is box office, man. He is absolute. He's doing stuff. You're just, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. There's just these young receivers right now. CeeDee Lamb yesterday. Yeah. I mean, these guys are freaking box office. And I sometimes guys like me go, man, I wish I would have been a better athlete. I could have played like a cool position. And then you go, man, at least it wasn't DB, because that would be a problem. That would be a problem.
Oh man. To your point, Justin Jefferson and his catch yesterday, it shows a lot. Okay. Obviously his ability is there. We've seen this. He's proven it weeks over weeks since he came into the NFL. But then as a team, it shows the confidence in Kirk Cousins to throw that ball on 4th and 18 to him. Yeah. And have a guy to say in your head at pre-snap, I know where I'm going with the ball if it shows up. And it really didn't show up because he was double covered. And he went and did him. He did a play that most players be like, I can't do that play. I can't make that play. But for Justin Jefferson, and you mentioned the receivers that came from the same school, under the same tutelage of Mickey Joseph that's coaching at Nebraska. This is not a shot to, get him hired or anything. It just shows when you have a player, sometimes in a situation, you have player coaching players that then show them the confidence of what it takes to do things like that. That's how it hits me. And I've seen that play, Mike. You talk about, you're a great athlete. I don't care. I'm gonna give you. I know what you're saying. Hey, yeah. I've seen the way we met. One of the ways we met, we're playing horse, and I try to do a dunk. I did a 360 dunk, thinking I got him. He's gonna get HORSC and game over. And Mike went up and did a 360 dunk, and I'm like, God damn it! I was like, dude, you were 315. You were 315.
What used to be
right, but it just shows. It's like. That dude, he's a baller. And much respect. Like you said, this was a respectful get off my lawn. And I could also say, like, as a kid playing in California, sometimes I saw kids and just for fun do that. And that's almost look like what he's doing. He just, I'm gonna go up and get this, and if I get it, cool. If I don't, but I got it, and he's able to pull it into his body and. Fighting with the DB with one hand to pull it out of his hands, it just shows the effort and what we show what effort and talent mixed together looks like on that play right there.
Isn't it? My favorite thing about sports, and it could be any sport, is when you see somebody in that kind of situation, in that kind of game, you need that kind of play, and somebody can actually deliver.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They can actually deliver. It's not that's not your run-of-the-mill play. That's not me blocking and you running through an open hole. That is a impossible play that is absolutely necessary in that moment, and that dude delivered. And that's why we watch, right? We're watching for those moments.
Exactly. Like you said, it doesn't matter the sport. I'm 100% with you there.
Awesome. So, bro, we got a Thursday night game versus the Titans.
Yes, we do.
So I guess we're gonna have to. If we're gonna do a preview show, maybe we'll try to get this on Wednesday or maybe Thursday morning before we can get it out. We can get it out Thursday.
We can still. Because I'll be open at the 1 o'clock time. If not, we can move it up. Let me know. All right. Sounds good. So where you can find me is Ahman Green 30 on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm also on TikTok. Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge on TikTok. That's been big fun. We got big games. God of War, Ragnarok. Gotham Knights and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 talking about those games.
Violent. Look how violent you are. Why don't you play Bubblicious or something?
But there's no game called Bubblicious, just so you know. It's close. It's probably old Kirby game on Nintendo with Bubble in it, Mike.
Bubble Bots? I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Good try. And Mike, let everybody know where you can find you.
Yeah, Mike168 on Twitter, Process to Perform on Instagram. AG, always a pleasure, man.
It is. Have a great week and see you Thursday.
Bye, bud.
Yeah.